Hey there, YouTube. This is Richard Rost with Access Learning Zone. Just wanted to let all of my subscribers know that I'm currently in the middle of building something I'm calling the Easy Access POS. Now, for years, people have been asking me to build a real simple POS that's based in Access. They want something that's easily customized for their business needs, that they can do themselves, that is built in Access, so it's very easy to use and easy to maintain. And most importantly, that's not going to break the bank, because I know a lot of POS systems are pretty expensive. Now, I'm currently, as of June 2020, in the process of building this, and what I'm doing is something new. As I record each lesson in the seminar, I'm going to post it on my website, and those people who are enrolled can actually watch the videos as they come out, make comments, make suggestions, interact with me in real time. I'm going to release this when it's finished as a standalone seminar, but it's also coming out as part of my normal lessons, starting with Access Developer 14. So there's a link on your screen right there, and I'll put it in the description below, so you can click on it. That's a link to the Access Developer 14 class, if you're interested in enrolling. What follows in this video is Lesson 1, and it's a description of what the Easy Access POS is going to contain, feature-wise, and all the things that we're thinking of adding to it as far as long-term upgrades. So check it out and let me know what you think. Greetings, Access Developer students. Starting with Access Developer 14, I'm doing something new. I am posting lessons to the website as I record them so that you can give me your feedback and watch them as they're being developed, and then I can actually take your feedback and use it for the rest of the lessons in the series. Now, this and probably the next 2 or 3 lessons, Developer 14, 15, 16, maybe 17, are also going to be shared with a seminar called the Easy Access POS seminar. We're going to be building a point-of-sale system, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who want just the point-of-sale system, but I don't want to duplicate my efforts. So these lessons will be pretty much the same between the seminar and the developer series. So if you are a developer student, don't purchase the POS seminar separately because it'll be a waste of money. You just need this, trust me. And there will be some extra material added on to the ends of some of these lessons that doesn't pertain to the POS that I want to add in for just the developer students. So I've already got a bunch of tips and tricks and stuff that I've already got set up. But the core of the next couple lessons is going to be building this POS. Now, there's a lot of new techniques that I'm going to be covering that are going to benefit you even if you're not building a POS. So don't worry. Like all my previous lessons, even if you don't need an order entry system, that's how I teach you how to do forms and subforms and stuff. You know, even if you don't need some of the things for your business, the techniques are still valuable. We're going to be doing some work with Unbound forms, some SQL, a lot of VBA, so lots of stuff that you haven't seen yet. So the rest of Lesson 1 is going to be the same as Lesson 1 for the seminar. We're going to go over the database structure, what is included, and what I envision this POS system is going to be like. Over the next couple of lessons, we're going to be building a POS, a point-of-sale system for Access. I'm going to call it the Easy Access POS because it's going to be built in Microsoft Access, obviously. It's going to be easy to use, and it's going to be easy to make modifications for, which is why you want to learn how to build in Microsoft Access to begin with. You want to be able to customize your own solution. So why the Easy Access POS? Why am I moving the class in this direction? Well, first of all, I've gotten lots of emails over the last couple of years, actually, for people that want a simple POS system to be used in Access. There are a lot of solutions out there, but many of them are very expensive. There are upfront costs, obviously, for buying any software. There are a lot of ones that run online in a web browser, for example, but they charge monthly fees. I've seen many of them average about $60, $70 a month, and that adds up over the course of a year or two. But most importantly, a lot of people want a POS system for their business that they can customize. Maybe you run things a certain way that off-the-shelf solutions just don't provide that functionality for you. The inspiration for this database, in fact, comes from lots of different customers, but one in particular is a customer who runs a cafeteria, and they have families with children that go to a school. It's a school cafeteria, and they want to be able to track each individual sale for the students every day for their lunch, for example, but they want to be able to generate a statement for the family at the end of the month. So this is a very customizable situation for them. So as I was putting together a database for that, I was thinking to myself, with a few other tweaks and modifications, this could very easily be something that any retail business, whether it's a restaurant or a cafe or a bar, could use with a few tweaks here and there. I know as I've been talking, I've been skipping over my bullet points here. Easy to use, customizable in Access. Obviously, you want something that you can customize yourself for your own needs in Access. But of course, there are a lot of people who just want the database to use it. I get people all the time that also come to the website and they're like, hey, I see your calendar seminar or your imaging seminar or whatever. I don't need to learn how you built it. I just want something I can use. So this is also going to be released as a template too for people who just want to just use it as a POS system. So we're going to build this so it's running out of the box. Now for my developer students, yeah, I'm bouncing all around here, aren't I? For my developer students, this is going to be part of Developer 14, probably 15 and 16. But don't worry, there's going to be a lot of new techniques and tips and tricks covered in here. For example, I'm going to show you how to work with Unbound forms and take all the information that's entered into them and put it into the table as a transaction when everything's done. Lots of new stuff's going to be in here. So I'm going to release this as part of the developer series and also as a standalone seminar, because I'm sure some people are going to want to have the POS system without learning all the rest of the developer material. So it's going to be part of the developer classes and a standalone seminar and also a template. And I'm going to be doing something new. I've been rebuilding the online theater on my website, and this is going to be something that I've been thinking about for a while. I'm going to be posting lessons online as I record them. So everyone who has signed up for the class, if you've bought either Developer 14 or I'm going to make the complete seminar, at least part one of it, available for pre-sale, people who have purchased this ahead of time can actually view the videos as I post them instead of waiting, a week or two for me to finish them all. This way I can get your feedback too after each lesson. You say, hey, what about this? What about that? How does this work? Can we add that? I want to get your ideas, your thoughts, different features and things that you want to see added. And so we're going to be doing a whole bunch of different stuff with this class. Okay, one of the things that a lot of students have mentioned to me is that they want to see more planning the database up front. In a lot of my lessons, I just jump right in and start building the database without giving you much of a roadmap of how we're going to get to the final product and what I envision the database to look like. I know back in Access Developer 1, I said sit down with a paper and pencil or some index cards and write everything down. But since then, I really haven't spent too much time going through planning your database. So one of the things that I like to do, obviously I start with either a physical notepad or notepad on the computer. This is literally how I started this database project. And this notepad list of items grew over the course of a couple of days as I thought about things to add and things to remove, because you know me, I try to add too much up front. So you want to distill it down to the things that you really need, and then make a list of optional down the road things that you can upgrade. I've got a bunch of those, and I'll share those with you in a few minutes. But from all of that, I distilled it down to one screen that's going to do the bulk of the work. This is the main POS terminal screen. Now, this is a mock-up that I do in PowerPoint just to get a rough feel for what I want the final version to look like. It's probably going to look a whole lot different from this when I'm actually done with it. And I want this to be touchscreen friendly. So these are actually going to be list boxes here. Here's a list of products. You'll be able to pick a category. You can do lunch and dinner, or you could do burgers and starters, or whatever kind of categories you want to set up, or no categories at all. You can just make one category to put all your products in if it's a simple listing. But once you pick a category, your product list will show up, and these will be bigger because again I want it touchscreen friendly so your finger can tap on it. But when you tap on one of these items like Pepsi, it jumps over here into your list of items. All of these things are calculated. For each sale, you can pick a group and then a person. And again, these will be optional. So if you want to deal primarily with walk-in traffic and you don't want to save people in your database, that's fine too. But again, several customers have said to me, hey, I've got, I want to do recurring billing, like the cafeteria example that I gave you before. they do school lunches. So in their case, the group will be families, and then the person will be the individual students at that family. I'll show you how that works on another screen. But once these are selected, you've got your order items will show up here, and every time you tap on it, it'll just increment the counter over here, the quantity, figure out the pricing. You can add adjustments if you got coupons and whatever, the subtotal. The discount, you can have discounts if you want that are based on a percentage. You might have a loyalty program in place where certain people get 10% discounts or whatever. Tax will be calculated based on your location, and I'll show you how you enter that later. Figure out a tip, and again, that's an option. You can allow or disallow tips, and then of course the total. There'll be buttons down here that they can tap on to type in an adjustment, whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage. Add a tip. Click here for the payment screen. You know, they can pick cash, credit card, put it on my account balance, those kinds of things. And these will all be options you can configure. Cancel the sale or complete the sale. Now, I'm going to be doing this different than I've built databases before in class. If you've taken my developer lessons or my expert lessons, when we build the order entry system there, every time you create an order, it puts the record in the table, and then you work in a subform, and it puts the detail items in a table as you're working. This is going to work differently. And that's why I said before there's going to be different techniques in here that my developer students are still going to get benefit from. Essentially, what's going to happen from a programming standpoint is all of this information is going to be stored in an unbound form. In other words, the form isn't connected to a table. And all the product list and the order items and all this information is just going to be stored in fields on the form. When we're done and we hit complete sale, it's going to commit to the table then using a series of VBA commands and SQL. It'll then build the order on the fly and commit it to the tables. Then the order's done. It's a totally different technique that I haven't used before in class, and so it's going to be really cool. There's a lot of benefits to this, especially if you're working with a multi-user environment. In a lot of POS systems like this, you have 2, maybe 3 terminals. So it's important to keep all that information in memory and then in one quick move, commit it to the table. Whereas I've built systems before using the old school style, whereas someone's entering an order, someone else might, you might get some conflicts in there, some locking problems. If 2 people start editing an order at the same time. If you're still typing in an order for Joe and someone else goes to Joe's record and sees that there's an order but it's not finished yet, you might run into problems. So this eliminates those kinds of problems. And in a retail environment or a cafeteria style environment, you don't want to run into those record locking conflicts. So as it says up here, it's going to be the POS system is going to have everything stored temporarily in Modal, Popup, Unbound forms. So these things will be in the user's face. They can't switch the forms behind them. They can't go do other stuff. They have to follow the procedures that we've set up. All right, when you complete the sale, you'll be asked to print a receipt. Payments will be optional. You can make them so that they're not optional. If you're dealing with walk-in traffic, if the group has the option that you can bill to their account, then you don't have to put a payment in. When it's done, when you hit complete sale, it'll give you the option to print a receipt. In the future, I'm going to add emailing. It won't be that difficult to add it, but I've done email to death in the email seminar. So later on, if enough people want to see it, sure, I'll add a quick email feature to this. But for now, it's just going to be a quick printable report. You can email it if you want to. You can just email it from inside of Access. There will be a button somewhere so you can see more information on products. We'll check for duplicate orders, same person, location, date amount. And of course, it'll be touchscreen friendly. So that's the main interface. That's what does the actual order entering. You tap on the left, it moves it to the right. You want to remove an item, you tap on it, it goes back to the product list. Notice there's a spot down here that says scanner field. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of work with barcode scanners. Now, I'm not going to go into printing barcodes and all that stuff, but if you have a barcode, chances are it can read UPC codes. And you can store those UPC codes in your product table, and then if you entered that into the scanner field, it'll pull up that product. So I'll make sure after every item is committed over here, the focus goes back to the scanner field. So you can hit, if you are using a barcode scanner, you can just go beep, 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 and it keeps adding those items to your order. So this will be barcode friendly. Now let's talk about groups and persons. I'm not going to call them people because we're going to stick with singular usage in this database. I built a blog/news thing for my website a while ago. I built it 10 years ago. on the website. I run the forums and stuff out of them now. And way back when, I was stupid and I made one of the tables comments T, plural. And even though I've had it as a personal rule, and I teach it in my classes to always stay singular, I didn't make the comments T singular. And every time I'm coding on my website, it bites me. it hurts. And I'm like, damn it. So I have to go back and edit it. I do a DLOOKUP and it doesn't work because I type in comment T instead of comments T. So trust me, follow the rule that I should be following myself, which is stay singular. So we've got group. You'll see the actual table name. It says group T. It's not groups. All right. So your groups can either be families, they can be companies, they can be whatever you want the group to be. You can just have walk-in traffic as one. All right. Mail order, whatever you want to do as a group, you can do it. It'll have its own set of rules and discounts and stuff like that. Or no group. If they pick a group like Davis family, it'll pop up on the person box. Right, when they tap on these boxes here, tap up group, a group window will pop up. This thing, pick the group. All right, it brings them back here. Then the person window will show this. Actually, when you pick a group, it'll next pop up the person window. So then you can pick the person. All right, so Davis family, boom. Then you pick Peter, and then that gets populated back into this form. But you can also have, all right, a no group, no person. If you want to just do walk-ins and it's cash only, the person doesn't want to leave their information. It's good to try to have your people get information if you're running a cafe or something like that, because then you can do marketing, right? You get their information in the system. That'll be an option. You can turn that on and off as well if you don't want your end users being able to add people. If, for example, of the school, all of your students are already registered and in the database and you don't want the person in the cafeteria to be able to add people, you can turn that off. I'll show you how we'll do that with a settings table. But if you're a regular retail establishment and you want to be able to add people, we'll have a nice little way to add people. All right, so going back here for a minute, now we've got our payment information, which let me bring up the payment slide here. This is all just done in PowerPoint. This is how I like to put this stuff together so I'm getting an idea. All right, the payment window will appear. There will be certain payment types that are built into the system that can't be changed, like credit card. It'll pop up a credit card window. The number will be obscured. If you're going to be collecting this information, you can also keep it on file. All right. I'm not going to be doing credit card processing in this series of lessons just yet. It may be an add-on for the future. There are a lot of good solutions available, like PayPal, for example, is what I use. I use PayPal's PayFlow. It literally, you collect the information, you click one button, it sends it out to PayPal's website and gives you an approval, and it brings it right back. And it's very easy to use. If enough people want to see how to do that, I will include that in an optional lesson in the future. But for right now, it just will give you the ability to store this information in the system. And I'm assuming you'll have another credit card terminal or machine that you punch the stuff in and put in if it's approved or not. Right? If it's cash, right? Type in the cash received. So if it's $18.95 and you type in the cash received, it'd be 20. I'm thinking of putting little buttons here. Maybe if it says $18.95 here, the options will be like a 20, a 50, 100, because chances are they'll give you a 20. I'll be able to just click on 20. I want to keep this as tap friendly as possible for a touch screen. And it'll say, give them, $1.05 change or whatever. And if they want to type in an amount, it'll pop up. We're going to make this little guy. This will be a pop-up modal form. It's basically an on-screen keyboard. It's going to be touch-friendly. And the calling form will be able to tell this form where to put the value. All right, when you hit OK, it'll bring this 5204 and put it back in here. All right, this will be something neat to build. All right, moving on. We've got a main menu, obviously. We're going to have a location option because you might have multiple locations. If you're a school, for example, you may have 3 cafeterias. Or if you have, a coffee bar, you might have 4 locations in the city or around the world. So you can pick the location. Employee is going to be a future upgrade where we can have the people actually log in, right? Your bartenders, your waitresses, whoever. Enter sale will bring up this guy, right? Enter a sale. Void a sale. This will be an option that you may or may not allow, depending if they goof and they have to void a sale. All right, it's still going to be tracked. Never delete anything in a POS. Always just mark it void. All right, you want to have a history of that. And of course, then there's going to be a manager menu. Here's the manager menu. Edit lists. We're going to have options to edit everything in the system. Right, your list of locations, your employees, products, categories, groups, persons, payment methods. All this stuff will be, everything that you've seen so far will be editable in a list for the manager. A list of system settings, all right? Different labels. For example, what are you calling your groups? Is it families? Is it companies? Is it customers? What do you want to call it? All right, descriptions, default values, default tax rates, what allowed actions are there? Do you want your POS people to be able to add products or to add new customers? Those kinds of things. We'll have allowed actions in the systems table. Edit orders will put you in an editing mode, so you can actually go in and change an order that's already been submitted. You don't want your POS people to be able to do that unless you do. That'll be an option. And then, of course, there's enter, edit payments. You might have a situation where the people doing the data entry for the sales don't collect payments. Everything goes on account. All right, so you have to then run statements every month and then enter in the payments. As far as features go, I also like to make a list of options and things that I'm going to add. And this list is going to grow as we're building the database. I've already added a few things that I wasn't planning before. And this is also where I want your feedback, too. Put in the notes below, in the comments below the video, anything you can think of that I should add. Let me go over some of the things that I've got. Obviously, forms to enter all the data. We've talked about that already. Lists of groups with open balances. All right, so you can go down the list. And there's going to be an auto process option where if someone has a credit card on file, they give you the permission to just run their credit card. So that's going to be just basically a yes-no value. So you can just go down the list and then run the credit cards where people have pre-approved that. Future upgrade, make this automatic. I'm just making it a one-click thing where it just goes and just processes all the orders. And, of course, basic sales graphs where you can see daily, monthly sales, and so on. I've got a couple of basic reports, right? Your basic statement, which shows all the transactions between two dates. Usually it's monthly, but it can be, you pick any 2 dates. You want to do a quarterly, fine, type in the quarterly dates. It'll show the current balance due and a list of all the transactions. It'll be formatted to be mailed, so you can print them and mail them out. Yes, I'm going to add email as a future option. I'm going to make a threshold amount, so you cannot print out any statements where it's under, say, $1. It's kind of silly spending, 30 cents or so to mail a statement where they only owe you 4 cents. Right, like the story of the woman who had her electricity shut off because she owed 14 cents. Okay, so if it's under $1 or under $5 and you don't want to send them a statement this month, that's fine. Future upgrade emailed out to the primary person in the group. So each group's going to be able to have a primary person. So the people in the group will be obviously like the students that get the lunches, but you can also add a parent, and that'll be the primary person. So whenever any statement goes out for those kids, it goes to the family, which is the group, and you can mark one person as the primary person in that group. And then, of course, we'll have a ton of sales reports options, right? A bunch of filters. You can filter by date, location, category, product, different sorting amounts, different grouping amounts. This is also where I can use your help, too. If you have any ideas for reports that I'm not thinking about, go ahead and add them and let me know. Post them in the comments below. It's good to get a list of this kind of stuff before I'm finished with the database. This is one of the reasons why I want to start posting this stuff online as I'm building it. Because sometimes students have great ideas, and it's stuff that I'm like, oh, wow, I wish I would have added that. And to post an addendum with my old system when I had to, package everything together, upload it all to the website, put it in the theater, it was a nightmare. So I think I'm going to like this system a lot better, where I can post stuff to the web as I'm working on it. Here's my big, long list of possible future upgrades. All right, users, obviously. You want to put your employees in the system, right? You can also track when they logged on and logged off. You'll give them each user a password, a code, and like a 4-digit code they have to enter. You could track all their actions. I'm going to put a log table in the system so you can at least see what was done, like important things like voiding sales and entering payments. You can at least see when it was done and at what time. That will lead to eventually you could do timesheets, for the week, time in, time out for each employee, and a time clock system. That's a possible. These are all possible future upgrades depending on how many people like this seminar and where it goes from here. Security, we can lock this down. I'm not going to go over all the stuff from the security seminar because I already covered it pretty much in detail, but I'll go real quick through how to lock this down once we're done with it so that you can put it in an environment where your users, for example, if you get a user who is working the cash register that happens to know Microsoft Access, you don't want them being able to bypass the startup group, and my developer students know how to do that. Printing barcode labels. Okay, I've been wanting to do a barcode seminar for years. It's been something I've been throwing around for about 10 years now, but there hasn't been a ton of interest. A few people here and there ask about it, but most products that you sell come with a UPC code, Universal Product Code. It's a barcode on there. That's what they scan at Walmart or wherever you buy stuff. And if you've got a basic barcode scanner, most of them can read those. So if you put that UPC code in your product table and you barcode scan something at the POS level, it can look that up and say, oh, hey, this is a, Apple or whatever. Now, printing barcodes is a different story. If you want to be able to print out your own labels to put barcodes on custom products, it's not terribly difficult. It just involves getting some barcode fonts and generating a list of labels, and that will be an add-on that I'll probably throw in eventually. Inventory control. Lots of people ask about this. Honestly, inventory control works a lot better once you learn how to use record sets. Now, everything that I've talked about so far today, we can do with just basic SQL, with update queries and delete queries and stuff like that. However, to do inventory control properly, you really need to know how to use record sets. And that's something that I covered in my older Access 320 to 329 classes. And I'm going to be covering them again in the developer series, but not quite yet. I'm going to get to them soon. So before we do inventory control, we'll have to cover record sets first. But that's where you can have a quantity on hand for each product, your reorder levels. If you've got 15 apples on the shelf and you want to order more apples when it gets down to 5, that's important. So, an online table option. Okay, then again, this is going to involve a little bit of web server action here with SQL Server or something like that, where we can put your tables online and then just distribute the front end to your people. So if you've got 3 cafes, you can have all of your data stored on a web server, and then the cafes just get a front end that connects over the internet to the back end. And there's 2 ways to do it. In fact, I'm going to put a note of here. So this is why I like to think about this stuff and make notes. The online table option, there's actually 2 flavors of this. There's your 2 flavors. There's web connected and there's standalone with updates. Now, what this means is web connected means in order for your POS to work, you have to be online. You have to have a live connection to the server in the back end. That's the easy way to do it. There's also standalone with updates, which means that each of your systems is a standalone and can work if the internet goes down. And then at the end of the day, or at regular intervals that you set, it just posts all of its updates to a server in the background. That's a little more robust, but it takes a lot more effort to set up. So we'll talk about both of those options. Then, of course, there's the completely online option, which is a redesign of the entire system to run in a web browser, which it no longer becomes an Access project at that point, and we'll talk about a different seminar in something like ASP or JavaScript. Images is something I can add in the future. Wouldn't be too terribly difficult. You can have images for your product categories, your products themselves, even the people. So when a person is in line, let's say you're doing a cafeteria at a hospital, and everyone's got an ID badge. You can store their ID badge picture in the database, so when you pick them in the POS, it shows their picture, and you can make sure that Joe Smith that's standing in front of you is actually Joe Smith on the computer screen. Those kind of things. Table-side ordering for customers. It's not terribly difficult to lock this down if you want to run it on a tablet, a Windows tablet, obviously, if it's running Microsoft Access, so that you could offer table-side ordering for your customers. Give them a lockdown version of your database that's connected to a server wirelessly, and you could very easily have them enter their own orders in. Staff scheduling, that'll come after users. That's tough. There's a lot of variables involved in that. Reservations is obviously a possibility. A loyalty program would be pretty easy to set up. You do so many purchases or so many dollar amounts and you get a certain discount. That could be set up easily. Custom pricing per group. Now, this is where you have a group, like a family, for example, or a corporation that has a specific discount. For example, a family might get reduced lunch rates. Or you can have a company that's got a certain deal that you set up with. And you could then enter in custom prices for certain products for just that group. It's a little more complicated, but it works. Signature box in the credit card form. I'm not even sure that's possible in Access, but I'm going to look into it. So that I'm sure you've seen it before, where you get the POS screen at the restaurant and you sign it with your finger or whatever after you run your credit card. I think I can do that with Access, but I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet. And then compound products and product options. A compound product is something like a pizza. It's got multiple components, right? You pick your crust, you pick your sauce, you pick your meat, you pick your veggies, and then it puts one product item into the POS for you. All right, that's something we can add if people want to see that. And then, of course, there's product options, where you have, like, let's say a shirt, for example, that might come in red, blue, green, and then it also is in small, medium, large. You want to have one product with different options available. All right, the way the system is configured right now, you'd have to have a separate product item for each of those options. But there's a way later on with the second table we could do an options table. That's a little more complicated. But for today, we're going to keep the database simple, which is why it's the Easy Access POS. And we'll save these possible future upgrades for the future. So that's what I've got right now, and that's what I'm going to start with. And I really would value your feedback as I'm building this database to know what features you guys want to see in it. So post your comments below, and I'll be reading them as I'm going along. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you all the tables that we're going to have in the different fields and how the structure of the database and all the relationships are going to be set up. To move past this video, you have to either purchase the Access Developer 14 class or the Easy Access POS seminar, and both of those will be available on the order page. There you go. There are the two options of the classes you can purchase to continue. Either Developer 14, and it'll probably be a couple lessons, 14, 15, maybe 16 too, or Easy Access POS seminar, which I'm guessing is probably going to be maybe 3 to 4 hours long for at least part one. All those future upgrades aren't going to be part of the seminar, just letting you know up front. Everything that I've talked about today, all the features that I showed you on the screens that I actually built screens for, that's all covered in the POS seminar. And the reason why I'm making it two different options is because my developer students that have been following along since day one, you can keep learning with these lessons right in order. And for the people who only want the POS stuff, just get that. You don't have to go through all the developer lessons. There's going to be extra material added to the developer classes too, but it's going to be non-POS related stuff. Like I got a bunch of tips and tricks and stuff for my developer students that are not going to be in the POS seminar. Basically, if you want everything, stick with the developer courses. If you only want the POS stuff, then get the seminar.